I felt like I had nothing to offer the world but chaos, but drama. And that's all I brought myself. I brought nothing but problems. So like I kind of accepted it that I was becoming worthless. I was not going to be able to function in society as a regular human being.
Welcome to Uncomplicating the System, the podcast where we dive deep into the heart of social justice and unravel the intricate web of human experiences that intersect with the criminal justice system. I'm Vanessa Garcia, your host for today's episode, and today's episode is one I've been looking forward to for a long time. We're going to hear a story about struggle, survival, and ultimately transformation. Our guest today is someone who has lived through some of the darkest experiences life can throw at you: gangs, drugs, prison, but has come through on the other side with wisdom, strength, and a commitment to change. Joining me today is Mauro. His story starts as a kid on the streets looking for a family and finding one in the most dangerous spaces and places. But it doesn't end there. Mauro's journey is a testament to the power of self-reflection and finding your worth just as you are. Mauro, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. You were just 11 years old when you left home with your younger brother. I'd like for you to share what life was like back then and what led you to make that decision to leave.
All right, so growing up, I grew up in Santa Clara, right? And what happened was is that my pops left us at a young age, right? I pretty much remember him just as vivid memories about him, like just kind of yelling. I don't remember too much about him, but I know that there was a lot of chaos inside of the house, right? So they separated, and I remember just growing up with just my mom's, and my two brothers, right? So like what happened was is that I had a great relationship with my mother, right? Like we were like best friends. We used to do everything together, right? Growing up, she would be around, and like what happened was is that all of a sudden, my stepdad came in the picture, right? And me and my little brother were like, kind of like, who the heck is this dude, right? All of a sudden, this dude shows up, and we didn't like him, right? At first, we were like, no, my mom's, that's our moms. Like, we don't want nobody around our moms. And that's kind of where, like, it took a toll between us and our stepdad, right? Because here he is coming in, and then we're like, dude, we don't want nobody around our mom. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I was just one of those kids. I was a mama's boy growing up, and my mom was everything. And so she started noticing certain things, right? But like, I didn't know how to really express it to her, right? I didn't know how to really express it to her, so I would do it by getting attitude with her. I would do it by like causing ruckus inside the house. And me and my little brother, we were like tag team, right? We would always just like mess around with my stepdad, and the littlest things we would do, we would interrupt his mornings. We would mess with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not even gonna lie to you. We would put like little erasers in his cup, a cup of coffee, like just to mess his day up. Like he wants to wake up in a good mood. I'm switching that up. He ain't walking out of his house in a good mood. And me and my little brother, we were having fun, right? But at the same time, we didn't realize we were probably hurting this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was is that he started battling back with us. Inside of my household, it went from me, my mom, and my two brothers, right? My older brother was just running the streets. He was doing his thing, right? He was gang banging and he was selling drugs, right? And the thing is that I started to kind of see what he was doing. And now that I look back at it, I'm like, dude, it was really attracting of what he was doing, because I remember like he would bring a lot of people to the house too. And I'm still kind of young, so he didn't want me involved, but here I am. I'm wanting to ask questions, like I'm wanting, you know what I'm saying? And my stepdad and him didn't really get along either. So there was a lot of chaos as far as this guy trying to come into our house and try to take over. Like, first off, who are you? You know what I'm saying? He came in there like there's rules, and then this is my house now. We're like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is not your house. First off, this is my mom's house. And that's kind of like where I'm like, you know what? At certain times, I didn't even want to be at home. I didn't want to be at home, and that's kind of what led me being out there running around. So what happened was, is I was like, me and my little brother were like, dude, I don't even want to be here. He would come into our rooms and he'd be like, look, you're not my kids. I don't like you guys. I don't respect you guys. You guys are never going to become nothing. And we're like, what? Like, who are you to even say that? So me and my little brother were like, F this dude, we're gone. So we would go and hit the streets and out there running around, right? My mom had a job. He had a job. There was nobody really there to tell us nothing, right? So it's like, okay, we're out there running around. Now I'm meeting my friends, right? That became my best friends to this day. And the crazy thing about it is like we were wanting attention, right? So me and my little brother, we were kind of one of the little off the hook little kids. Like no one's telling us nothing. So we would go over to their house. And one thing that kind of hit me the most was like I would see my homie and their parents together.
Mm.
And I'm like, man, I held resentments to my dad. I'm like, reason why this dude's in our house right now is because you left us. Now I started to create this hate inside of my heart, this anger that I was building up. But I would go to my friend's house and I would find myself wanting to hang around at that house more than my own house.
And Mauro, if we could just pause there for a second, were you already out in the streets with your brother and transition to that life? Or was that resentment and bitterness starting to set in while you still lived at home and you were visiting friends and you were saying, wait a minute, I want what they have. How come I don't have that? Were you already on the streets or were you still at home?
No. Yeah, I was at the house until my stepdad started coming in the picture. But at the same time, I was seeing this stuff. Now that I look back at it from my older brother,
Okay.
right? He had the car, he had the money, he had all this stuff, right? And it's like I'm like, okay, all right. There's certain things that I like about what he's doing right now.
Mhm.
He's always got money. He's always doing something. But what happened was, is I would go to my friend's house and I seen a different little lifestyle that was going on in there, right? And that's kind of where it all started too, right? Their dad was a pothead. Their dad was a little alcoholic. We would wait till he get a little drunk, and next thing you know, we're stealing his pot.
Mm.
Now we're stealing his liquor. Now we're drinking it. Now we're smoking it, right? And then boom, we would hit the streets.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it was like, all right, I'm running in. I'm over there breaking car windows as a kid just to act out, right? Now that I think about it, I was looking for attention, right? I didn't know how to ask for it, so what I did is I was like, oh, I believe this is a way for me to get attention, and I was getting it. So as I'm growing up now, my friends would notice that I was getting off the hook. I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. They were telling me like, bro, kick back, and I'm like, nope. So in school, I was really into sports, right? Growing up, all right. And my coaches were pressing into me. They were telling me like, "Man, you're a good little leader." But what was going on is that I was starting to get attracted to this other life that I was seeing. Man, and let me remind you, my friend's dad, he was a gang member, OG. So I seen the way he dressed. I seen the way he got down. There was a lot of stuff that it was attracting to that lifestyle. And I'm like, okay. Oh, I saw. So next thing you know, I'm in school, acting up in school. What happened was, is I was a little sports player, and all of a sudden, I was fighting now a lot, causing ruckus at school. And what happened there is that it caught attention to the other little homies, a little group of homies that had seen me. Oh, this little dude's a fighter. So I remember one day fighting one of these little dudes at school, and he's one of the best fighters at school, and I ended up getting the best of that fight. So what happened? The next day, a group of kids walked up to me, and I'm like, "Oh man, are they gonna jump me?" Because I'm thinking it's their friend, it's his friend. But they're like, "Nah, we actually want to kick it with you, bro. We want to know what's up. You want to start kicking it with us?" And that's kind of where like gang banging started for me at a young age.
That was the
We're talking.
pull. That was the sense of
Yep,
belonging. That's what really took you from one extreme to the opposite extreme of
yep,
this is where I belong. I fit here.
yep,
Okay.
absolutely. I
Okay.
was trying to be a part of something. I wanted a sense of
Yes.
belonging, and I found it through my little homies because they were showing me love. They're like, "You ain't got no clothes, bro? We got you. You ain't got no food, bro? Come over to our house and eat." And the thing is that I'm like, okay, cool. These dudes, they really love me. So I did everything possible to help them out. If somebody caused trouble for them, I was right there to back them up. If I even felt like somebody was going to threaten them in any type of way, I'm the first one to start swinging. So they love to have me around. I was one of those they brought to parties because they're like, Mauro, he got a little gift to gab. You feel me? He's either going to pull chicks, he's either going to get alcohol, or he's going to beat somebody up. Let's bring this guy along. And this is kind of what I did. I love that attention. The attention that now I was not getting from my mother, right? The attention that she was giving my stepdad, which I hated. I'm like, I created anger through that. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do things so everybody knows who I
So
am.
you did.
And I
You
would
did
go,
that. And it led you on another path. And that
yeah,
path ultimately, eventually took you to jail.
yeah,
What was that
absolutely.
like? What did that transition
So
into that life look like for you?
it was crazy because at the time I wanted to go to jail,
Ah,
right? I was one of those little youngsters. There was like jail is where we go.
okay.
You want to be a homie and you want to live a certain lifestyle. Jail is expected. So let's go. What happens is that I would get caught up in little situations, right? And I would see people getting involved trying to help me. One time I got into a big old rumble outside of our school, right? And the bus driver stops because he knew me and he was like, "Get on the freaking bus." Right? Get on the bus. And he was like kind of really screaming at me, right? And he's like, "Every time I see you getting into something, why are you always doing that? You seem like a good kid." And I got on the bus and he took me. No cops were called. I got away. I'm seeing that God was saving me through a lot of people, right? But what happened was is that as soon as I turned 18, my mentality and everything started to get a lot more dangerous. And then jail was definitely a place that I was being real comfortable at. I was one of those that I would only be out for a little bit of time and I would be right back in. But I started getting involved with a certain group segment inside of jail, right? That allowed me to do what I wanted to do, allowed me to express my anger, but also gave me the kind of love that I was searching for too, and a sense of belonging that I was looking for too. So jail was something I was not scared of. It was something that I wanted.
Mm.
I accepted that in my life, right? Being a youngster in the streets, you know that if you're running around doing certain things, you're going to expect to go to jail. You know that it's in your vision, right? Because that's what we do. And county jail was a place where I caused ruckus in there too. Any opportunity that I had, I raised my hand. Anytime they told me to do something, I did it. And I learned a lot. I learned that, you know what? If I want to be mad at the world, this is a place that I can use it at. I can use my anger.
So
I can use my
and
frustration.
there comes a point where you go in and out of jail, right? And
Yeah.
ultimately, and I'm going to use this term, you graduate to prison. Was there
Yeah.
ever a point where you moved on then from jail to prison?
Yep. So the crime started getting more heavier.
Aha.
The actions that I took were getting more serious. And the consequences are definitely deadly, right? Because now I transitioned from county to like the big house, right? Prison. And like I said before, I wanted to go. I was one of those that wanted to put prison under my belt just to say I went, just to let the homies know that, look, I went there. And this is what I do for you guys. I'll go to prison. I'll die for you guys, right? And that's the kind of integrity that I carried. What happened was is that I started going into prison, but before the first time I went to prison, this is where Carry Division came in, right? I met Ann Fisher. Ann Fisher started pouring positive things into my life. Like, I know you feel like you're not capable of becoming somebody in your life, but you can. You can change. I know that you may think certain things about you, but I want to pour in hope, and I want to hope. I hope that you understand that you're worth something. When I felt like I was worthless, I felt like I had nothing to offer the world but chaos, but drama, and that's all I brought myself. I brought nothing but problems. So like I kind of accepted it that I was becoming worthless. I was not going to be able to function in society as a regular human being. And what she did is I took a class, a meditation class,
We have
which
to
a lot,
pause there. What made
yeah,
you even consider while you're in this life and you're kind of banging even in prison and you're clicked up and you're still have that mentality of I'm big and bad. So why would somebody like that want to take meditation? What was the pull? Why did you do that?
because there was something tugging at my heart that I didn't know what it was at first, right? If there was something telling me that, Mauro, you deserve better.
Ah,
And the thing is that now that I look back at it, it was God. God was bringing people into my life as a kid telling me, Mauro, dude, you got leadership skills, Mauro. You're so great. You got a big heart. What are you doing turning into this freaking monster that it's not really you? And Anne was one of those that allowed me to see that, because even though I was trying to become a monster, it doesn't mean that I was really one.
right.
And she said, Mauro, you have potential. You have a heart. We love you, right? And it's like we want to help you, and that's the kind of attitude that I was getting from her. So her meditation class was very important for me. It started pouring into my mind that I can do this. It started pouring into my heart that I need to do this, and it touched me in a certain way that I never knew that there was real sincere people out there.
Did you
She
did
is
you
one of those.
did you believe her when she was speaking positive words of encouragement and speaking into your life? Did you believe her, or did you call BS and just try it anyway?
Honestly, the energy that I got from
Yeah,
her, I felt it was real.
love it.
I felt it was real, because honestly, if I felt that it wasn't, I would have cut her off and blocked her off and said, you know what, excuse me, ma'am, I'm just here to do my
Got
work.
it.
And that's kind of the energy that I got from a lot of teachers back in the days.
Okay.
If I felt like they really didn't want to help me, but they acting like they wanted to help
Mhm.
me, I would shut it down.
Okay.
I thank God that He gave me that understanding and that discernment, right?
Yes.
To really feel when people feel for you, to really understand when people love for you, right? And that's the honest truth, is that her meditation class allowed me to step away from the chaos that I was creating in my
Yeah.
mind. My first time going to prison, I was building all these things in my mind, like it's gonna be ugly. Will I even make it out? Am I gonna do life?
Mhm.
Am I gonna get killed? Am I gonna do something, right? And because I was already a violent person, so I know in prison, right? You raise your hand, you're gonna be doing certain things, and this is kind of where what certain things happen for me, right? So her class allowed me to be in the present. It allowed me to sit back and understand that, look, no matter what I'm facing, I can get out of this. No matter what's going to happen, it's going to be okay. When in my mind, I'm thinking it's not going to be okay. Things are going to happen. So she allowed me to see, like, the precious things of life, of understanding that you do deserve a better life.
Right.
When I didn't care about life, I did not care about life. I did not care if I died. I did not care if I lived, right?
So then here's
And
Anne. You're taking the meditation, you meet Anne, you were able to discern, I'll use your word, you discern that she's real. Does it end there? Are you good? Does the story end?
no,
Okay.
it definitely doesn't, right? I go to prison, and the crazy thing about it is the hope and the love that she poured
Uh-huh.
into me. I it was just tugging at my heart the whole time I'm in prison. So what happens is that she started writing me, and she was writing me like positive things, right? Positive letters. It's gonna be okay. This too shall pass. And I wrote her a letter one time, right? And what happened was, is the amazing thing is that she wrote me back and said that she put it into her curriculum. And everybody that does their curriculum inside of Elmwood reads the letter that I shot her,
Wow.
which inspired me to like want to do something different. Here I am wanting to go to prison, and this is my first time in prison. I'm like, yes, I made it to where I wanted to be. And then right when I got there, I'm like, man, maybe this ain't a place where I should be. I'm starting to see the ugliness inside of this prison,
Right.
the things that are going on in there, the chaotic situations that I'm placed in, the deadly situations that I'm watching, and I'm participating
And
in,
I'd be remiss,
right?
Mauro, not to say this. I have to pause for just a second and say,
Yeah,
Anne built your letter into her curriculum. So even
yeah,
before your story ends, you're already being used. You're already making an impact to help other people, even before your own healing had occurred and you're on the straight and narrow, if you want to call it. But you're being utilized. So that must have infused even more purpose into your
yeah.
life and vision for your life to see I can make a difference.
Absolutely. So I'm scared my first time in prison, because let me tell you why I went to prison. I went to prison for assault with a deadly weapon my first time, right? But what happened was, is that it was my homie's dad, right? That I caught the case with. So I go to prison, take my first strike, boom, I'm going in there, and now I'm like, man, dude, okay, this is crazy. But look, He ends up showing in reception. He's in reception with me, right? And he's like, bro, I want to tell you something. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. I'm in here because I hurt my dad, and it's okay. I'm thinking that he's gonna try to fight me. He's gonna try to take off on me, and it didn't happen that way, right? And I'm like, all right, cool. So I let go of that. Now I'm in prison. Now I'm over here doing other things that I'm not supposed to be doing. I caught weapon charges. I extend my time. I extend all this, right? But here I am wanting to change, and it was hard. I'm being tugged from doing right and doing wrong, and I feel like I'm just being stretched out and not even knowing, like, God is really working in my life. He's pouring in that you can become better. You are better. Look at the letter that you just spoke about right now that she used. It's like you don't think you're going to be used.
Right.
You're being used right now. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. So here I am. I'm like, look, I want to join classes. I'm going to get into prison and I want to learn more about my behavior. I want to learn more about my attitude. And I started taking classes on behavior, on addiction, on how can I change my reaction into a respond. I was a reactor. And guess what happens? My anger never goes to my heart. It goes straight to my fist. That's where my anger goes to. And I had to learn to take my anger and let it go down to my heart, because what happens is that if you allow your anger to go to your heart, it's usually going to help you change your mind on making a decision. My fist is only going to do what it's supposed to do. And it's going to want to fight and it's going to want to battle back.
Right.
So
Right. And you had
here I
Anne,
am.
I just want to, I just really want to
Yeah.
understand. You had Anne, you had meditation. Those seeds were
Yeah.
planted, right? Now you're torn. I want to do good. I'm being pulled from a belonging
Yeah.
perspective back into what I'm comfortable and familiar with, which is
For sure.
violence and whatnot. But then you have this other side of you, the pull. I like to think of like the angel and the devil on the shoulder saying, "Do right, do good. You can do
Yeah.
this." And then on the other side, no, you know what works for you. Don't try to improve. So there's Anne in that. Was there any other people during the course of time when you were in and out of prison, on the street, just in your life, that were speaking positively into you and also seeing what Anne saw in you?
For sure. Like I'd be walking down the street, right? Mad at the world type stuff, waiting to come across somebody that I didn't get along with, or just anybody in general. I was one of those. If I'm walking up to you, it's usually a bad thing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna walk up to you and say hi. I either want to rob you, beat you up, or you know what I mean, take advantage or whatever the situation was. But look, I noticed it. There were certain people coming up to me and be like, "Hey, God loves you. Jesus loves you." And I'm like, what? I appreciate you. Jesus loves you too. And I just kept going, right? And I'm like, wait, all right. All of a sudden, it started happening
Wow.
more and more. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, right? I had people from church calling me, let's go to church. So I would go to church. And I knew there was something tugging at my heart because, like, I was violent and I loved it. And I became to the point where I was violent. And I'm like, I don't think I should be doing this no more. So there was something telling me that there's something inside of me. The seed has been planted, right? From people that were planting seeds. And the thing is that I'm like, all right, God, what is it that you want me to do? What is it that why am I not seeming able to get along with this world? And I had a conversation with the Lord one time, right? And I'm like, God, how come everybody else is able to maintain out here in the world and able to do whatever they can and live a freaking life where it seems normal, but it's not? And God spoke to me and he says, Mauro, the reason why you don't get along with the world is because you don't belong to it. He told me that I belong to him. And no matter what you do and whatever you try to do out there in the world, it's not going to go your way because you don't belong to it. I have a God that's so understanding, and he uses the mess that I cause and he turns it into a message. And this is kind of what I was getting from everybody else. I was getting a message of
Yeah.
hope. People when I was a kid, my coaches, and people in my life, like, were constantly telling me, Mauro, you deserve better. When are you going to see that yourself? It wasn't until I'm starting to see what they are talking about. I started pouring in that hope into my heart. So I had to take classes in order to go to that direction. If I wanted to get away from this anger, I took anger management classes.
Right.
I'm like, what am I doing? I don't got anger issues. I love to fight, right? But I have anger issues. I hated people. I hated any male figure
Mm,
stepping into my life trying to tell me something.
right.
If it was a CEO, if it was a teacher, if it was a cop, I don't care who you are. You're not telling me what to do. So here I am. Now I'm taking classes which are telling me like, you know what, your behavior has a lot to do with why you're here. And I'm like, you're right. But I wanted to be here. But in all reality, I found out that I didn't. I started seeing ugly things. I started seeing people get really hurt to the point where like they lost their lives, right? And this is kind of where it took a toll, right? Where I'm understanding, okay, cool, I get it. This is where I wanted to be, but what happens is that lifer started pouring into me, and this is the crazy thing is that I never thought a lifer would try to tell me to change, right? Would try to tell me that I deserve a better life. I'm thinking this dude just wants me to handle his dirty work or whatnot, blah blah blah. You name. No, I got a different understanding. I've got a lifer that told me, check this out. You can make a difference in your life when I can't right now. You can still go after your future when I have nothing to look forward to. And I'm like, man, that's what's up. I appreciate you telling me that. Here goes God again, inside a chaotic place, and somebody doing life is telling me, Mauro, you deserve better. My higher power constantly pours in people like that in my life. When here I am wanting to hang out with people that want to do bad, he's sending people that want me to do good. And I'm like, okay, now I really got to look. I got to look at this. I got to look at what he's trying to tell me. I never knew how to surrender to anybody's suggestions or to your guys' advice. None of that. I felt when you guys gave me advice to change, I felt like you were telling me what to do, right?
Right.
So I'm like, I'm listening to you. And a lot of times growing up, people were trying to tell me, Mauro, you shouldn't be drinking. And they got a beer in their hand. I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Oh, Mauro, you shouldn't be smoking weed, but you guys got a blunt in your hand. So I was getting the message from the wrong people.
Yeah, and
So
and
now,
it sounds like there's just so much to unpack here, but it sounds like to me that it wasn't just one event. It wasn't just one person. It was a culmination of different events, different times in your life, different people speaking into your life. And that is so powerful to me as somebody who knows people that are currently in the situation you were once in. And I'll tell you, as a human being, I want to give up on them because I'm tired. People that love people in these situations, we get tired. I look at it from
yeah,
that angle, but I also look at it from the angle of people that are currently you, that are the person you used to be right now. And they're thinking, why can't I get it? What's wrong with me? Why is everybody
mhm,
else able to succeed and have this, great life? Why can't I do it? They can do it, right? Their
yeah,
story looks
absolutely.
different, their path looks different. And what I hear is the resounding message for me is don't give up. You didn't give up, Mauro.
No,
If you would have gave up, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation if it wasn't for Anne and for the lifer and then the stranger on the street that said, God loves you. It took all of those people. I am so encouraged by your message. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm doing everything not to cry right now because I know people that I love that are the person you
yeah,
used to be. And that is
yeah,
so powerful. So I had to insert that there. We started this
absolutely. Yeah,
conversation with your mom and when your mom's
yeah,
boyfriend came in and how you looked for belonging elsewhere. And so you
yeah.
drifted apart from your mom and took a different path. Now, today, all these years later, where is the relationship with your mom? Do we have a happy ending to that story? Or what does that look like for you two?
Me and my mom have a great relationship now. She's my best friend, and one thing that I didn't seem to understand is what she deserved as a mother. She deserved somebody to be in her life.
Mm,
She deserved a partner. She deserved somebody that was there to back her up. And the thing is that I didn't know how to accept that as a kid, right? Because I'm like, Mom, like, what happened to us? What happened to the movie nights, and all the other stuff that we were doing? And it's like, Mom, I understand now. My mom's an amazing
oh,
woman. She's an amazing woman. And the thing is I'm like, all right, if I love my mom that much, I gotta understand that she deserves somebody in her life. Today we talk about everything, right? I can call her and I can tell her about everything. She gives me great advice. And I apologize to her. I apologize to her and I apologize to him for me being just disrespectful, for me being throwing my little tantrums. You know what I mean? When I should have just told them, like, this is what I'm going through, you guys. I should have communicated with them more. And I believe this is kind of like where what I want to say, as far as like, there's families that don't really communicate with each other, and it's very important to communicate with your child, and for your child to communicate with their parents, because a lot of times we lose that
Yeah.
communication, and there we go, we're acting out, but no one really knows
Right.
why. That's where communication comes in. Like, if you're mad at your mom, like, speak to her. If you're mad at your dad, speak to him. Because what I did is I held it in, and I would go out in the streets and I would release my anger to the streets. And what it did is it caused a lot of wreckage in my life. It caused me not to be successful when I know I could have. You know what I mean? And then that's just my story, right? My story is that I wanted something different in my life, and I wanted love, and I'm like, you know what? I'm finding it in the wrong places. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'm going to the wrong people,
Right. And I
and,
think
and,
that's a
and
powerful message for someone who is listening, who might be in a similar situation, still caught up in that cycle of struggling to find their worth. I think that is a powerful message of hope for them. And just one final question for you, Mauro. What's been the most rewarding part of your journey since turning your life around? At this point, what's most rewarding for you?
man, the peace of mind,
Ah,
honestly, because my life was chaotic, and it was to the point where, like, every day was stressful. When I was living that certain life, nothing good was going my way. It was spiritually, I was
mhm.
broken. My heart was broken. And what happened was is that now that I made this transformation to change in my life, I'm noticing that my heart is being open, and and I'm understanding that I do have love in my heart. That hatred was just it was fear. It was fear. In all reality, I was afraid to talk to people about how I was going through. So the only way I could do is by expressing anger.
Right.
So today I got a peace of mind, and I got love back into my heart. And I don't want to hurt people no more. I love to help out people. I know I have passion to help people out. I'll be walking down the street, and I'll be talking to strangers and be like, man, you know what? I just want to let you know that you're very important,
Yes.
that God loves you.
Yes.
And this is what I do.
Yeah.
Before, I wouldn't do that. I can care less about what you're going through. So now I've got a sense of, like, love and passion inside of my heart now for people. When
Absolutely.
before I would take your smile away, now I'm giving them back.
I've been
You know what I mean?
smiling this whole time, Mauro, and absolutely. And your story is a powerful, very powerful story, and I know it's going to
Yeah,
resonate with a lot of people. Thank you for being so open and for sharing your truth with us today.
yeah. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me, Vanessa.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, this is what Uncomplicating the System is all about: unpacking the experiences that shape people's lives and showing the humanity behind the headlines. If you or someone you know is trying to find their way after incarceration, know that there is hope. You are worthy of a fresh start. If you need help with taking that next step, please visit our website. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to having you with us in the next episode.